we were talking yesterday, and I said this thing about ergs because you hear a lot about St Paul's. They've got like these mega erg guys like Calvin, and that's why they're fast because they've got that in the middle of the boat.
Yeah.
And what was your take on that?
I mean, I think everyone sort of, I don't know, like builds it up to be something that it's not. Yes, Calvin was sub 6 minutes, like 95 kilo guy, but the others weren't. Apart from Calvin, they weren't big guys. Like George Dickinson, who stroked the boat, stroking the Princeton lightweight 1v now. Like, Bill's here. Bill coaches him in Princeton. Like, again, like a tiny guy. Like, it's 5'10"? Is he 5'10"? George? Yeah. But again, like he bought into it. He had the right mindset. And George was one of these guys who didn't perform as a 14, 15, 16. He was always in the B boats, and but he, you could see something in him. You could see that he had that belief and he had that drive, and he stuck with it. Like and then he got the just reward. He won the triple. He broke the lightweight 2K GB record. He stroked the 8 for a junior world gold medal. Like Dougie coached him at Junior Worlds.
What do you look for in stroke? You're talking about stroking the 8. Is there something you look for? Is it more intuitive than that?
It's hard. I mean, it's how people like blend together, but it's also bodies for seats. Like, I think we had a very good 8 in 2015, but the 8 in 2016, like we lost the final to Eton, and that was quite a difficult year because I didn't really have. I had Freddie Davidson, who was a returner from the year before, and obviously an amazing stroke man, but he stroked the boat. But basically, he was the stroke and the 6 man. I couldn't have him in 2 places because, like, for me, I like a 6 man to be really sort of direct and dynamic, and also like the stroke man. I like someone who's going to be able to sort of change gear if they need to, and like quite a streetwise racer, like can hold something back and then change gear if they need to. So Freddie was the only person who could do that on the stroke side. So I ended up stroking when I had a 6 man, which I didn't really think was dynamic enough. So it's just like it's what you have, what you inherit, and how you develop them, and but it is sort of like certain characteristics. I think will fill sort of certain seats.
Before, just ask if people have got particular questions. One of the things we talked about, particularly for you, and people that know you will know that there's a background to you and what you've experienced in rowing, particularly around the Sydney 2000 Olympics. Yeah. And we've all come to rowing, and it's given us what it's given us in particular ways. And you've had the experience you've had. When you look back on you and rowing now at this particular stage, what reflections do you have about what you've been through and what you've achieved now, or where you are now?
I think the thing is, like, I think from the sort of the impact it's had on my coaching is like accountability, like just making sure that the boys have earned those seats, and there's a clear sort of pathway to earning that seat, and it's based on performance, like. And I think I'd say, like, I'm as fair as I possibly can be to the boys, and I think that's come from my own experience of how I was treated as an athlete. I think that's like one of the main things is accountability and fairness. So I try and sort of put that across. So if a boy doesn't make the 8, he knows why, because you almost don't have to. I mean, obviously you have the courtesy to tell him, but he almost sort of knows he doesn't make it because he's seen his performances all the way through the year. So I think it's just like accountability. But like for me, like the whole Sydney process left like quite a lot of scars. And I think with time, sort of coaching and building like young athletes and working with like great people and developing really good crews, it's just I don't even think about it anymore. Like, I just doesn't even cross my mind. And I think it's been like the journey has been like a really good like healing process as well, because I think if I'd left rowing then, I would have been really bitter about it, and and it would have stuck with me forever. And yes, there has been like scars, but I think with time and working and building a program, working with young athletes, like you bury those and you put them in the past.
Shall we see if guys got any questions?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Just to kick it off, I asked a question earlier, you weren't here. so the first, what's your perspective on US universities and boys going there coming back? Do you think it's positive or negative?
Well, I personally, I know probably David says something different, but I personally really like the whole US university like setup. I think when I'm looking at like my guys when they're training, there's all the social media and sort of monitoring what's going on in the US. They all watch it and they all look to it more so than the national team. Like my boys are more interested in what's happening in the IRAs than what's happening in the GB national team. I mean, there's more to rowing than rowing for Great Britain. Like it's a great sport and it's a broad sport, and these guys can get a lot out of rowing in the US. Ultimately, their education is the most important thing. And when you look at like the grand scheme of things, like most of my guys who stay in the UK quit. Every guy who's gone to the US has carried on. So, is that a positive thing or not? No.
It's really interesting. Really interesting. Somebody else? Yeah.
I share your view on the RP3s and have been castigated for my views by certain people in this room. The curve you produce on your force length curve, the RP3s, when you're teaching your guys to place the blade at the beginning and not too tall, too hard.
Yeah.
Is it the classic bell shape like that with a slight tail, or do you have a slight tail on then?
No, we go. I try and coach like the classic bell shape.
And you get them to do that on the catch without putting too hard.
Yeah, we don't over focus on the. If it's sort of slightly off piece, then we'll look at it. But I'm trying to sort of get them to feel what they're doing, and then I think if they get that right, the end product is a better power curve. Rather than if I try and row to the power curve, it never really happens. So one of the things we do is we just try and be quite light in the hands and the feet, and just let the cage come in and push it away again, without any sort of tension or pulling on the handle. And I think if you time it well, and for me it's a visual thing, if you see it timed well, then the net result is generally.
You also hear it on the machine.
Yeah, but also like stroke length on the RP3 is quite important. Like we try and sort of ultimately like we're trying to row long in a sort of an unforced way, and the RP3 gives you that feedback of how long you're rowing.
Have you tried the twin yet?
I have, yeah.
How do you rate that compared to single bar?
It's good, but like we have a very uneven gym floor, so we've like destroyed some of the bearings in some of our RP3s. But I mean, in terms of like just synchronization and getting people to move together, then we do like link guys up.
I kind of think we're nearly there at 2:00. Unless anyone's got a last burning question. Somebody has. Nice brief one.
You mentioned that the guys who go to the US continue with their rowing, but they don't in the UK. Why do you think that is?
I think generally like the level of schoolboy rowing is like phenomenal in this country, and that's why a lot of them go to the US, because there's this pool of talent which the US universities are looking towards. But like unless they go to like Brooks, UL, Oxford or Cambridge, they're going to end up rowing in a first aid that's slower than their school first aid. So I think, or the coaching isn't quite as good, and I think it just, I thought, why am I doing this? Like, I've rowed in this school late, and now I'm at university, and I'm going to every single races at Dorney. I'm going to Dorney 4 or 5 times a year to get the shit kicked out of me by my old school mates. So why am I doing this? Well, they go to America. They've got this like really cool like structured racing season. And, like, why not? I mean, if I had my time again, I'd do it. It's like seems a lot of fun.
Okay, I think we're there now. That's been fascinating, Bobby, as ever. Thank you very much.